I'm going through the motions. I'm using 100% of my energy.
Yes.
But why is, I don't understand why everything isn't getting done. How if I pulled back a little bit with some things, maybe become slightly disengaged because other things are taking over. And this, in my case, I won't go into that right now, but whether that's extended family issues or a million other things, that's life. So that's what we talk about here on the show, the real challenges we face every day.
Welcome to MetaGagement, the HR show that dives deep into the heart of employee engagement and workplace culture. Your hosts, Ann Scottlin and Dr. Lyman Montgomery, bring you a groundbreaking show that explores innovative strategies and insights to transform and elevate your organization's HR practices. Dr. Montgomery is an employee engagement expert and best-selling author, while Ann Scottlin is an acclaimed business consultant and podcaster. Together, they will unpack the complexities of modern HR challenges and reveal innovative solutions that can be immediately applied to your workplace. Please welcome Ann Scottlin and Dr. Lyman Montgomery.
Hello. Welcome back to MetaGagement-HR, a show created just for you in the HR community. I'm Ann Scottlin, and with me here today, of course, is my co-host, wonderful Dr. Lyman Montgomery. Hey, Lyman.
Hey, it's a pleasure always.
I'm excited about what we're working on in this series, which is how to cure disengagement and burnout at work. Perfect. And
Absolutely,
I think
yes.
any time of year that is a challenge, and weirdly enough, it's often a challenge for people in summertime because they are on vacation, and then when they're actually at work, they're way behind and they're just overwhelmed. So this is, I think, a very relevant topic.
Yeah, and not only that, you think about, if they have small kids or school-age kids, it's compounded. At least when the kids are in school, they get somewhat of a break, right? But now is making sure that the kids have activities during the summer, uh, and also keeping up with the demands of the work world. And so that's why I think this topic is very timing, especially during the summer months, where you can feel this sense of overwhelm and become disengaged that leads to burnout.
Absolutely. And we are going to give you some very specific suggestions, tools and tricks of the trade, as well as going meta. How do you do that? Which is a meta mindset, taking it to the next level, making it easier, not necessarily more difficult. It's not more things to do, it's doing more things more smartly. But first, before we get started, thank you all of those of you who are watching and listening today on our show. As you know, the purpose of MetaGagement-HR is really to foster resilience and adaptability in HR. That's the most critical issue that everything else seems to boil down to almost all the time. We dive deep into how you can foster those and you work within your teams to advance your engagement strategies, to make actionable changes and do it without wearing yourself thin. And lastly, our mission is our commitment to continuous innovation and neuroscience-backed approaches. Please, whether this is your 10th time or your first time, please do like, subscribe, drop us a message while we're here and help us keep this program coming to you. But so Dr. Lyman Montgomery, tell us a little bit about the problem we're addressing today.
Yeah, the biggest problem that employees are facing, this is not just in the United States, but globally, and that is this sense of overwhelm, which leads to burnout. And burnout can be defined as where you're physically present, but mentally you have literally checked out. There's no more gas in the tank. You're just basically taking up space. And we want to address that critical situation of burnout. But before a person gets to burnout, they normally go through what's called disengagement, active disengagement, and the end result of that is burnout. But regardless of where you're at in that continuum, whether you're disengaged, actively disengaged, at the end, all of us at some point or another have felt a sense of burnout, just at different degrees.
Yes, and I know that you said like that partial disengagement, that first level where you're
Yes.
kind of just you're kind of half tuned in, even though you might be applying the same amount of energy as you were before. I've been doing 3 or 4 major things at once lately, and I've kind of, get to that same point where I'm just like, I'm going through the motions. I'm using 100% of my energy,
Yeah.
but why is, I don't understand why everything isn't getting done. How if I pulled back a little bit with some things, maybe become slightly disengaged because other things are taking over? And this, in my case, I won't go into that right now, but whether that's extended family issues or a million other things, that's life. So that's what we talk about here on the show, the real challenges we face every day.
Yes. And it's also neuroscience. Understand that our brain evolved to do 2 things, period. It is the conservation of energy and also reproduction. That is survival of the species and conservation of energy. That is the total purpose of our species and the total function of our brain. So what happens is when a person is multitasking, they're spreading themselves too thin. You can only give 100% of your effort to one thing. So when you divide that to 2, now you get 50%, 3, 33, and a third, 4 things, 25%, so forth and so on. So if you're doing 10 things, your mental capacity is only at 10% at each of those, because there's no way that you can be 100%, 100%, 100%. In other words, you be at 1,000%. You only have 100%
Absolutely.
energy to give. So what ends up happening is the conservation of energy kicks in, to where your brain says, wait a minute, you don't have enough brain power to function doing 5, 6, 7 things. So what we're going to do, I'm going to shut down after the third or fourth one. And you see this during periods of the day as well, where some people may feel very energetic in the morning,
Mhm.
but you also have those that say, you know what, I really feel a burst of energy between 12 a.m. and 4 a.m. All right. And during the rest of the day, they're kind of like a log.
Mm.
Okay. It's all
Mhm.
about how your body stores mental, cognitive energy, and how that energy is dispersed into projects or what we call work.
It's so true. And, one of the things we want to talk about today is what are, at least before our commercial break, let's go over 3 things that really give us a solution to this problem, particularly and strategically from an HR perspective. And one of those, Lyman, is conducting regular check ins. That's one on one meetings to discuss people's
Yes.
roles, their responsibilities, their challenges. How can we do that differently? And most of us already do that, but how can we do that with more insight? I'm not going to say intuition because some people like get off on a crazy tangent on that word. But how do we take this meta
it's,
when we
it's
are holding these
asking,
one-on-one meetings?
yes, it's asking a better question. And what do I mean by
Mm-hmm.
that? This is how
Mm-hmm.
most majority, 99% of most check-ins. Hey John, how you doing? Oh, I'm okay. Everything's good. Yeah, you need anything? No. Okay, bye. Let me know. A better question would be this. Hey John, I know you're working on this project. Have you encountered any type of roadblock or anything that would prevent you from meeting the deadline? Now that causes the person to say, "Oh, okay. I got to go a little deeper now." Well, not
Mm-hmm.
really, but we did run into some turbulence. All right. So it's not just the cliche of, "Hey, is everything okay? You need anything?" People would understand that's just cliche. You
Mm-hmm.
basically don't care about me as a person. You don't care about, all you care about, are we going to meet the deadline? And I hope you don't say you're running any problems, because I really don't want to help you. So ask
Well,
a
it's
better
a
question.
checklist, right? It's
Yeah.
checklist driven, which is, did you ask your employee to discuss their role, how they are doing, and if they need anything? Check. So yeah, those rhetorical questions when you really, someone looks right at you and asks you, but you don't feel invited to answer.
Yeah.
You ever been in that
Yeah. It's
that
the same.
stage?
Someone asks you, hey, how you doing? I'm okay. And I can see in your face, or I know that you just went through a major traumatic experience. But
Mm-hmm,
we've just
mm-hmm.
become conditioned. Again, going back to the checkbox. Okay, I did say hello, everybody, right? Check the box. Okay, my response, I'm fine, I'm good. Thanks for asking. Check the box. As opposed to stopping and saying, hey, I really want to know, how are things going? And
Mm-hmm.
giving a specific example that moves the person away from an open and closed yes or no. For example, going back to the check-in, all right? Instead of saying, hey, have you run into any problems? A better question would be this: hey, I noticed that there were an issue with so and so. Did you ever meet with Tom to take care of that issue? And if so, what were the results? So I get a yes to check the box if I'm a box checker, right? But now I'm asking for more information. And that's how you can really check in with
Yeah.
employees to make sure that they are well. And I always believe you start with them. Hey, how are you doing? But really, no, I really want to know. And I might qualify by saying, hey, I know you had a situation with your cat recently. You know, is everything's okay? And you'll be surprised. People say, oh my God, you remember
Yeah.
when Jimmy, got hit by a car? Yeah, I was really concerned. How's Jimmy doing? You see, that's the difference than just a cliche of checking the box. You're okay, you're good. Okay, move on. See you
So it's
next
really
month.
taking a personal interest. I think what we always say when we talk about, going meta, using a meta mindset, is taking a genuine interest in being authentic with that person. Because as we say
Yes.
all the time here, everyone can tell when the words coming out of your mouth don't match what your body language or your attitude is saying.
Right.
So if you actually go the extra mile, you're strengthening your own relationship with that person, and you're also making them feel valuable and important. And you can't just do it as a check mark. This is where, I think 4% of the population has sociopathic tendencies, right? We're always talking about neuroscience
Right,
and
right.
mental science. And that's one of the things where they just check the box because they know they're masters at manipulation and so on, but they just check the box because
Mhm.
they don't really have the internal tools to empathize and relate and sympathize, so they just check the box. And so if they ask
Right.
you that, you might think, well, that was really nice, he had a smile on his face, but you're also kind of like, I don't feel like he's really seeing me.
And that's the key point. To be seen, but also to be heard and to be listened
Hmm.
to. What we're really talking about is work-life integration. A lot of times people say work-life balance. I really don't like that term because, number one, as anyone, life is not balanced. There's always going to be 60, 40, 30, 70. The question is, what side are you on? Now,
Hmm.
like for example, in my marriage, there are certain things that my wife, 70%, she owns it. And you know what? She only wants me to contribute 30%. There's also 70% or 75% of things that I do that I enjoy doing. And all I ask for her is 25%. But there are other things that 100% I do. And she's like, you can have it. And vice versa, there's 100%. So if you're trying to get this 50-50, well, wait a minute. It's almost like cooking. Well, I'm going to cook half of the turkey and you cook the other half of the turkey. Makes no
I love that.
sense.
No, that's absolutely wonderful. I'm never going to forget that example. That was really good. Um, so a couple other things before we take our commercial break. So other things that we can do, of course, helping employees avoid burnout by promoting this work-life integration. The trend is, when possible, giving more flexible hours. That not every industry can support that. But when it is possible, allowing employees to adjust their schedules to better fit their personal lives. I
Yeah.
mean, if dad takes the kids to school and mom wants to come in at 7 a.m. and leave at 2 so she can pick up the kids,
Yes.
uh, unless there's a critical meeting or issue, then let's see if we can't work that out. We're not cookie cutters either. Some people are morning people, some people are evening people. So having that option really helps people. It takes some of the stress away so that they
Absolutely.
can just feel less pressure. And the same, of course, is remote work options. So when people can work from home or other locations when they absolutely have to. Again, I think a lot of examples like the kids from school. Kids get picked up at a very inconvenient time in the afternoon for a full-time professional or a single parent. So can they pick them up and then pick up even at home for the last 2 hours of the day, doing their meetings remotely, etc. Well, this is so much good stuff so quickly. We're already to our commercial break. We're going to step away. And when we come back, we're going to talk about 2 more things specifically that you can do to help yourself and the people in your sphere have better work-life integration and avoid burnout. We'll be right back.
Are you feeling overwhelmed in your HR role? Discover MetaGagement, the forward-thinking solution that goes beyond traditional methods. Our personalized coaching services provide tailored support to help you enhance your professional and personal development. With our focused meta mindset system, you'll sustain motivation and achieve your goals. Experience the transformative power of our engaging events and webinars. Connect, learn, and grow with industry leaders and motivated individuals. MetaGage your organization today. Visit MetaGagement.com and start your journey.
Welcome back to MetaGagement-HR with Dr. Lyman Montgomery and myself, Ann Scottlin. Thank you for sticking with us here. We have been learning so much today about what are ways to go meta in promoting work-life integration. How can we help ourselves and our employees, our team, those around us, avoid burnout? So one of the things that we talked about a little bit earlier, but we didn't really have time to flush out, was encouraging time off. That is obviously a really big part. And this sometimes even depends geographically how people use
Yes.
that or what they expect, right?
Yeah. And that's huge. And I know that some people, they're going to say, but wait a minute, it's unrealistic. But hear me out before you send the nasty comments. Just hear me out for a second. There has been study after study after study that have shown when people are allowed to take time off to reset, to become re-energized, they come back to work and they outperform those that just burn through the night. You see, and I just be one of those. I never took vacation. I felt like, well, wait a minute, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. My wife shared a story with me about a coworker of hers years ago that never took a vacation. She used to pride herself on how much vacation time she had stored away over the years. And she was waiting for her retirement. She was going to cash in on her vacation and she was going to go on a trip. She retired, and I believe a short period later, she dropped dead. And she never got a chance really to enjoy taking time off. And I guarantee, as soon as her body wasn't even cold on the ground, they already had a replacement for her, because the machine of work will continue to grind. And it's very important that we take time off.
And sometimes it's just other ways to be creative. Excuse me, got something in my eye. Other ways to be creative, to focus on things that are different from the routine. So a vacation doesn't always necessarily mean an expensive trip somewhere. It can just mean some time off to focus on other things, give your brain a break. It does get harder and harder, because I know even when I travel around the world for work, and if my husband's with me, even if we do take some vacation days, since he's in tech, he can, and he's in sales. So it's like he cannot stay off the screens to save his life, because he always feels like there's a deal pending or something he has to do. And I understand that, but I also feel for him, because I'm kind of like, that's to never be able to really unplug. And I understand that too. But sometimes just switching up the energy, like this week, when I've primarily been, I was just sharing before the show, been working afternoons because I have a huge landscaping project with a very tight deadline that I'm responsible for myself at my home. And it's really hot right now. So having to get up early, 4:30, get out, be working before 6 and put in those early hours. But can I just tell you, like, it sounds exhausting, and it is. But by the time I get to noon or 11, shower, eat lunch, take a little break, and then get to work, I am energized and focused so much more
Yes.
than I am on an average day because I've totally shifted my focus. I've physicalized my emotions. It's like therapeutic, cathartic, anything else, and I feel great. I worked out for 4 hours. So even that in our daily life, finding ways to schedule in time, and if nothing else, take time off to clear the
Yeah.
mind.
In the coming out of the pandemic, a new term arrived, staycations, right? Where you don't really go
Yeah.
anywhere, but you just kind of like stay home, or you might take a short weekend, going down to the beach. Or maybe you're like, you know what? I'm going to go antique shopping, a state or maybe two states over. Maybe it's a 4 or 5 hour drive. But just having that time to decompress, not think about work, and finding the things that energize you. And that's what's
Mhm,
so key. And that's what takes it meta. It's
mhm.
not just being off because, you know what, we got 2 weeks vacation. So I'm just going, figure out something to do. And even though you're on vacation, you still got the cell phone in one hand, laptop in the other, and your iPad. And you're at the beach with a suit on and a shirt and tie. So basically, you just changed scenery. So now you have what I call a C suite, SEA suite, instead of the C suite.
That's very familiar. Yes, indeed. No, it's so true. And also limiting after hours communication. I
That's a
am
big one.
not good at this. This is where I'm bad. I spread out my work from end to end, from waking to falling asleep at night. And I so I usually, the people that I work with and communicate with all the time, most of us all know that if we're sleeping or whatever, we have our digitals turned off, so, or at least muted or whatever, sleeping. And so I just send those messages and shoot them out. And I forget how much that not only is it disrupting my time and space, but others. And, it could wait until morning. It could be an email instead of a text, because that really doesn't allow me to honor my own or anyone else's boundaries, to
Mhm.
really
Right.
minimize that at home time when you're working on work.
Yeah. And I just add a caveat to that because we both are, midnight owls. and and it's funny because during the day I'm primarily left brain, very logical, very strategic. But for some reason, after midnight, the creative child is awakened. And I get some of my most creative ideas, whether it's writing books, programs, between literally 1 to 3 o'clock in the morning. And I always say that's because the adult is asleep, and so the child can come out and play. But you're
No,
right;
it's
it
so
has to be
true.
that integrating. Um, because my wife, on the other hand, by 9:30, she's in bed. She's out cold. If I'm
Mhm.
in bed by 9:30, I must be sick.
Yes, no, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. Yeah, and you have the really late midnight oil. Mine is more that like 9:30 to 12 space where like if I'm writing one of my books, for example, I can really power in. Like I just
Yes.
latch in and boom, but then I know I'm going to pay for it the next day. So, but finding ways to, another positive reason for limiting after hours communication, not just for people around you, but also for yourself, is to give your brain a break. I mean, neuroscience shows us, as we've already discussed, if you don't tap out, clock out put the screens away or at least shift completely, it's like you're always on. And if you leave something running forever and ever and ever, it takes a toll. So, using that time off to do your other creative projects, instead of working on something from work, what about working on your book or your, something creative? Because the more creative we are in our daily lives, whether it's hobbies or family projects or whatever it is, when we're creative, we're resting our mind and encouraging the release of creativity in general under a low pressure environment. So when your body gets used to, I can just let the creativity flow without feeling like I'm in a straitjacket. Then when you go back to work, where some people will feel constrained, but they're in the practice of being able to be creative in flow because they're doing it at other times. So this is a great opportunity to invest in yourself.
It is. And here's a quick scenario. And this is for if you are a business owner. And let's say, it's a family run business, right? And you have HR responsibility or maybe a spouse or someone else, but a small, let's say less than, 15, 20 employees, right? And let's say you've been working on a huge project. Imagine what would happen if at the end of that project, let's say you're working on a proposal, you get the proposal. Imagine what it will say to the team and to appreciate them by saying, you know what? Don't come in on Friday. I'm going to take Friday and I will see you 12 noon on Monday as a way to reward the hard work. What we tend to do a lot of times as a business owner is what you did was great, but what have you done for me lately, right? And we really don't take time to reward our team. And we think it's always about money. Sometimes it's not about money. It's about saying, I'm going to give you a workstation or a vacation day, go to the park. One of the things that a good friend of mine did with his company is he said, you know what? You guys been working hard. This is what I'm going to do is, bring your families and dinners on me. Bring your family. I'm going to treat your family. And that's what he did. He took everybody out. Don't tell your wife, tell your partner, don't cook tonight. Dinner's on me.
That's very nice.
Productivity went up 30%.
I believe it. Oh, I can't even, from a mental and neuroscience perspective, that's like, and it was so simple. And it saved him so much money because instead of trying to cure 1,000 ailments, he was setting a positive tone. Wow, we have already run like crazy to the end of our time. So I hope you have all, I trust you've taken value away today on what you can actively do to go meta, use a meta mindset in promoting work-life integration, avoiding burnout. Again, this has been part 2 in our 4-series. I can't say 4-part series. I can't say 4-series series. 4-part series of how to cure disengagement and burnout at work. If you've loved this, please leave us a message on our website or wherever else on the platforms that you are watching and listening. We'd love to hear from you and respond to your comments and questions. And next time, we have a great treat for you as well. In part 3, we're going to talk about how to foster a positive work environment without being cheesy.
Yes.
That is so tricky because I get to live and work with someone who's not in HR but is in corporate in sales, as I mentioned before. And you can see when they feel like they're under duress to have a positive work environment. And so there's a lot of things that loaded in there that we're going to unpack next time, and really looking forward to that. Thanks again for being with us here today. Shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Please like, subscribe. If you're having fun, do us a favor. Shoot this link to someone else who would love to hear this. Spend some time with us and have some fun talking about ways to make HR better. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lyman, and we'll see you all next time.
Take care, everyone.